The lobby doors glide open with a muted hiss. Samuel steps inside, his worn coat brushing against the polished marble floor. His reflection splinters across the surface, a fractured mosaic of a man the room refuses to acknowledge. Employees stride past, eyes fixed ahead, their polished shoes clicking like metronomes, marking time against his presence. A security guard's fingers twitch near his radio, his posture stiffening as Samuel approaches. Their eyes met a fleeting exchange where suspicion clashes with resolve. Samuel's gaze doesn't waver. The guard looks away first, adjusting his collar. The receptionist's smile freezes as Samuel nears her desk. "Can I help you?" Her tone is syrup-sweet, but her knuckles whiten around a pen. "I'm here to apply for the developer role," Samuel says, sliding a rumpled resume across the counter. She blinks, her laugh brittle. Applications are online. Her finger taps the desk. Tap, tap, tappa, Morse code of dismissal. Ambition here is a mirror. It only reflects what they want to see. Samuel's hands rest lightly on the counter, steady. "I'd like to speak." To the hiring manager, the receptionist's smile cracks. He's unavailable. Behind her, a junior employee pauses mid-stride, curiosity flickering before she hurries off. The security guard takes a step forward, radio crackling. Samuel nods, turning toward the elevator. His reflection follows, fragmented but unyielding. The doors close, sealing him in a sterile silence. Outside, rain pelts the glass facade, distorting the lobby's pristine image. Samuel pulls out his phone, thumb hovering over a contact-labeled journalist. The city's skyline blurs in the storm, but his voice is calm. It's time. The camera lingers on the marble floor, Samuel's fractured image dissolving as the elevator ascends. Before the story continues, please let us know from where you are watching this video. Write your city or country in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit like if you believe in stories that challenge injustice. Your engagement gives power to voices that need to be heard. The elevator doors part with a soft chime. Samuel steps out, greeted by the low buzz of office chatter and the fluorescent glare overhead. He approaches the front desk, his resume in hand, but the receptionist's eyes barely flicker in his direction. Her lips tighten as she signals to a manager across the room. Marcus Dalton arrives, his stride brisk, his suit immaculate. He doesn't bother to hide his impatience. "What's the problem here?" he asks, voice clipped. The receptionist gestures toward Samuel, her pen tapping the desk in a restless rhythm. Samuel offers his resume. "I'd like to apply for the developer position." Marcus barely glances at the paper, his mouth curling in a faint, dismissive smile. "We're not hiring walk-ins," he says, voice loud enough for nearby staff to hear. A ripple of laughter passes through the open workspace. Someone leans back in their chair, whispering to a colleague. Samuel stands his ground, his posture relaxed, his eyes steady. He doesn't flinch as Marcus's words echo, each one intended to shrink him. "Maybe try the shelter down the street," Marcus adds, the line landing with a thud. The laughter grows, but it's uneasy now, some faces turning away, others watching Samuel for his reaction. Samuel's reply is measured, his tone unshaken. "Thank you for your time." He collects his resume, straightens his jacket, and turns to leave. The laughter fades, replaced by a heavy pause. The receptionist's pen stills, her gaze lingering on Samuel's back as he walks away. As the elevator doors close behind him, Samuel's reflection is whole again. He presses the lobby button, his jaw set, dignity intact. The office returns to its routine, but something in the air has shifted, a discomfort, a question left hanging. The conference room tightens with tension as Marcus Dalton steps forward, his eyes sharp but his smile thin. He leans slightly toward Samuel, voice low but cutting. "You don't belong here. This isn't a soup kitchen." Samuel's gaze holds steady, unflinching. The room seems to hold its breath, the weight of the words hanging heavy. Around them, colleagues exchange uneasy glances, some shifting in their seats, others biting their lips. A junior employee, Maya, watches from the back, her fingers nervously twisting a pen. She glances at Samuel, then down at her notes. The quiet strength in his calm presents a stark contrast to Marcus's sneer. Marcus's words echo, "You're right, it isn't." The room falls into a heavy pause, the stillness thick with unspoken truths. Marcus's jaw tightens, his eyes flickering with a mix of anger and disbelief. Samuel's steady gaze never wavers. A subtle shift ripples. Through the room, the receptionist, who'd been watching with a tight smile, now looks away, her fingers tapping a restless rhythm on the desk. Samuel turns slowly, his footsteps deliberate as he leaves the room. The door closes behind him with a soft thud. The sound a quiet punctuation to the moment. Outside, the city hums unaware, but inside, the seeds of change have been sown. Samuel's footsteps echo across the marble as he moves toward the exit, each step measured, unhurried. The glass doors glide shut behind him with a muted sigh, sealing the lobby in a hush that feels heavier than any outburst. The receptionist's hands hover uncertainly above her keyboard, her eyes darting to the empty space where Samuel once stood. She lets out a breath she didn't know she was holding, her posture stiffening as if bracing for questions she can't answer. Security, who had watched Samuel with wary attention, shifts his stance, shoulders relaxing now that the problem has left. But the quiet that settles is not relief. It's a question. Staff nearby exchange glances, some with a flicker of regret, others with a hint of shame. A marketing assistant, clutching a stack of folders, pauses mid-stride, her gaze lingering on the doors before she continues. Footsteps softer than before. Maya, the junior employee, stands by the water cooler, her fingers wrapped tightly around a paper cup. She looks at her colleague, who offers a silent nod. Their shared glance is brief, but it speaks volumes, a silent acknowledgement that something is wrong, that the laughter from earlier was a mask for discomfort. Neither wants to, where again, the laughter that once filled the lobby has vanished, replaced by an unspoken tension. The receptionist's pen rolls off the desk and clatters to the floor. She bends to pick it up, her movements slow, as if weighed down by the memory of Samuel's calm exit. The security guard glances at her, then at the doors, his jaw set in, a way that suggests he's replaying the moment in his mind. Outside, Samuel stands beneath the awning, rain beginning to streak the glass. He pulls his coat tighter, eyes on the city lights. Behind him, the lobby's gleam feels colder, the staff's faces turned inward. The doors are closed, but the story is far from over. Inside, the building holds its breath, waiting for what comes next. Samuel stands just outside the building, rain tapping a steady rhythm on the awning above. He doesn't rush to leave. Instead, he pulls his phone from his pocket, the screen's glow lighting his face in the dimness. His hands are steady, movements deliberate. He scrolls through his contacts, pausing at a name marked simply as editor. The city's neon flickers on wet pavement, painting shifting colors on his shoes. He dials, holding the phone close. The line clicks, a pause, then a voice answers, curious, cautious. Samuel's words are quiet, almost measured. "It's time," he says. "I have something you need to see." There's a silence on the other end. Then a single word, "Understood." Samuel ends the call, slipping the phone back into his coat. Behind him, the lobby's lights burn bright but sterile. Through the glass, staff move with new uncertainty, hunched, conversations clipped, eyes darting to the doors as if expecting Samuel to reappear. The receptionist fidgets, twisting a ring on her finger, her face drawn. Security stands near the entrance, arms folded, gaze fixed on the rain. A delivery. Driver enters, shaking off his umbrella. The receptionist greets him with a forced smile, her voice just a little too sharp. Maya, still by the water cooler, watches the exchange, her brows knitted in thought. The moment feels different, now charged, unsettled. The old routine has been disrupted. Samuel lingers for a moment longer, watching the city breathe. The rain intensifies, blurring the world outside into streaks of gray and gold. He turns up his collar, steps away from the building, and disappears into the night, his figure swallowed by the glow of passing headlights. Inside, the staff sense a shift they can't name. The easy certainty of the morning is gone, replaced by a quiet tension that settles over every desk and hallway. The storm Samuel set in motion has only just begun. The library is dim, the only light coming from a flickering desk lamp and the glow of a borrowed laptop screen. Young Samuel sits in a corner, fingers flying over the keyboard, coding lines that promise a future beyond these walls. The librarians, eyes narrow as she watches him from behind the counter, suspicion etched in every glance. Samuel ignores her, his focus unbroken. His mother's voice echoes softly in his mind. A mantra against the world's harshness. Never let them decide your worth. The words steady him, a quiet rebellion, fueling his determination. Around him, the library's quiet hums with unspoken stories of exclusion and resilience. Samuel's gaze flickers to the window, where the city's skyline looms bright, indifferent. He knows the path ahead is steep, littered with obstacles shaped by bias and closed doors. Yet, in this small sanctuary of knowledge, he builds his armor, one line of code at a time. A fellow patron passes by, offering a brief, encouraging smile before disappearing into the stacks. It's a small gesture, but it carries the weight of solidarity. Samuel's fingers pause, a flicker of hope sparking in his eyes. The librarian clears her throat. A subtle reminder of the world's watchful eyes. Samuel closes his laptop gently, the screen's glow fading, but his resolve burning brighter. He stands, shoulders squared, ready to face the challenges beyond the library's walls. A teenage boy at the next table glances over, nods once, and returns to his book. Samuel tucks the laptop under his arm, gathers his notes, and walks past the librarian. She says nothing, but her eyes linger. Uncertain, Samuel steps into the hallway. The library's glow dimming behind him, but never extinguishing. His spirit, the city's noise, grows louder as he pushes open the door, but the quiet strength he built in that corner stays with him. A dull light flickers in the supply closet as Samuel pushes the door open, searching for a spare cable. His hand brushes against a stack of old folders shoved behind a mop bucket. One envelope, edges yellowed and curling, catches his eye. He pulls it free, unfolding a handwritten letter. The ink is faded, but the words bite. 12 years here, and they never learned my name. Samuel reads on, the janitor's voice coming alive in the cramped space. I cleaned their offices, emptied their trash, and fixed what broke. They called me Buddy or Hey You. Never Samuel. Never the name my mother gave me. The letter trembles in his grip, the weight of unacknowledged labor pressing down. Footsteps echo in the hallway. Samuel tucks the letter into his notebook, heart pounding. He steps out, nearly bumping into a maintenance worker. The man glances at Samuel, then at the notebook, eyes flickering with recognition. He was here before me, the worker mutters, voice low. They never saw him either. Samuel nods, the moment heavy with understanding. He moves through the corridor, the letter's words echoing in his mind. At the elevator, a cleaning lady offers a tired smile, her hands raw from work. Samuel meets her gaze, holding it a moment longer than usual. She nods, a silent thank you passing between them. Back at his desk, Samuel smooths the letter out, reading it again. Each line is a record of being overlooked, of years spent in the background. He copies a few sentences into his journal, determined that this story won't disappear like so many others. A junior designer walks by, glancing at the page. "What's that?" she asks. Samuel closes the notebook gently. "A reminder," he says, "of what we're really fighting for." The designer nods, her expression thoughtful as she moves on. The screen flickers to life, casting a pale blue glow across Samuel's focused face. Security footage rolls silently, revealing a pattern too clear to ignore. Guards shadow black and brown employees, their steps quickening as they pass through hallways. White colleagues move freely, greeted with nods and smiles. Samuel's eyes narrow, the weight of each frame settling deep. He pauses the video, fingers tracing the time-stamp evidence of a routine steeped in suspicion. The camera pans to a junior analyst in the back, her breath caught in a quiet gasp, eyes wide with disbelief. Marcus sits rigid, the chair creaking under the strain of his tightening grip. His face pales as the footage loops, the bias undeniable. He shifts, attempting to mask the tremor in his voice. But the room's stillness swallows his protest. Samuel remains calm, his presence a stark contrast to the unraveling facade before him. The silence stretches, heavy with unspoken truths. Around the room, colleagues exchange furtive glances, some avoiding eye contact, others stealing quick looks at Samuel's composed figure. The tape ends, but the impact lingers. Samuel's steady gaze meets the boards, a silent challenge hanging in the air. The company's rot is no longer hidden in shadows, it's exposed in light. The walls that once shielded prejudice now tremble under the weight of truth. The boardroom holds its breath, the moment a turning point in a long-fought battle. Samuel's quiet strength speaks volumes, the evidence a catalyst for change. The screen fades to black, but the story is far from over. Tiana sits at her desk, her eyes fixed on the computer screen as she scrolls through a string of messages. The words jump out at her, mocking her accent, her background, her very presence. Laughter trails behind each comment, the kind that's meant to sting but never leave a mark you can point to. She breathes in, steadying herself, but the ache in her chest doesn't fade. Every joke is a reminder of the boundaries drawn around her, invisible but always there. She glances around the office, catching the quick, darting looks from a pair of colleagues near the printer. One of them snickers, elbowing the other before their faces snap back to neutral as she meets their gaze. Tiana's hands tighten on her mouse. She wants to say something, to call them out, but the words catch in her throat. The office hums with activity, but she feels alone. Surrounded by people who don't see the harm in their jokes. A gentle knock at her cubicle breaks the spell. Samuel steps in, his presence calm, a silent anchor in the storm. He sets a folder on her desk, his voice low but clear. "You don't have to laugh with them," he says, his eyes steady. Tiana looks up, her own voice shaky. "If I don't, I'm the problem." Samuel shakes his head. "They're the problem, and you're not alone." She opens the folder, finding printouts of the chat messages, each one highlighted. Evidence, not just memories. Tiana's breath hitches, but she straightens her shoulders. "What do I do with this?" she asks quietly. Samuel's reply is simple. "We show them, no more hiding." Around them, the mood shifts. A nearby intern glances over, concern flickering in her eyes. A manager walks by, pausing just a second too long before moving on. Tiana feels the weight of her pain turning into something sharper resolve. She closes the folder, meeting Samuel's gaze. "I'm ready." The office noise swells, but for the first time, Tiana doesn't shrink from it. She lets herself be, seeing the quiet storm inside her, finally finding its voice. Maria sits stiffly at her desk, her phone screen glowing with a string of messages. She scrolls, jaw clenched, as the words blur together. Jokes about her accent, her lunch, her family's spicy stories. The laughter in the group chat is relentless, each emoji a slap she can't dodge. She swallows, blinking hard, trying to steady her breath. Her hands shake as she takes a screenshot, her thumb hovering over the send button. Across the room, two coworkers lean close, whispering behind cupped hands. One glances at Maria, a quick, guilty look before turning away. The other snickers, tapping out another message. Maria's heart pounds, but she refuses to shrink. She stands, walks to the printer, and passes Samuel, who catches her eye. He doesn't look away. Instead, he nods a silent question. Maria nods back, her resolve hardening. She forwards the screenshot to Samuel with a single line. "This is what they think is funny." He replies almost immediately. "You did the right thing." Maria exhales, the weight in her chest easing. "Just a little." Samuel prints the chat, circling the phrase, "Funny how they try" in red ink. He adds it to a growing folder marked Evidence 07. The folder is thick now, each page a record of the company's casual cruelty. He slides the folder into his bag, his movements careful, deliberate. Back at her desk, Maria notices a junior analyst watching her. The analyst offers a hesitant smile, then quickly looks away. Maria straightens her shoulders, refusing to let shame take root. She opens a new email, typing out her own account of the chat, determined to make her voice heard. In the break room, the laughter dies down as Samuel enters. He doesn't say a word, but the folder in his hand speaks volumes. The mood shifts, no more jokes, just a heavy awareness that the old rules are being challenged. Maria glances at her phone, reading Samuel's message again. She feels seen, not just by him, but by the truth finally coming to light. The office is nearly deserted, the glow from a few desk lamps casting long, uncertain shadows. Tiana sits at a conference table, her notebook open, pen poised but unmoving. Maria slips in quietly, closing the door behind her with a gentle push. She sets her phone on the table, screen dark, hands folded tight in her lap. Samuel arrives last, carrying a folder thick with printouts and notes. They exchange brief nods, no need for small talk, just the shared understanding of what's at stake. Tiana's voice is the first to break the hush. "They're watching?" "US, I heard. It flagged my last email." Maria's reply is a whisper. "I keep getting left off group invites. They think I don't notice." Samuel opens the folder, spreading out screenshots, emails, and handwritten logs. We document everything. No detail is too small. If they want to fire one of us, they'll have to fire all of us. His voice is steady, but his eyes are tired. A junior analyst joins, sliding a flash drive across the table. "I saved the chat logs, even the ones they deleted." Her hands tremble, but she doesn't pull them back. Maria offers a quiet thank you, her gratitude clear in her gaze. Tiana flips through her notes, her resolve growing with every page. "If we don't do this, nothing changes. We can't just wait for them to do the right thing." The others nod, the weight of the moment settling in. A cleaning staff member passes by the glass wall, pausing to give a small, supportive nod before moving on. The gesture is brief, but it lingers, a reminder that their fight is seen. They agree to meet again the next night, same time, same place. As they gather their things, there's a new sense of unity in the room. The fear isn't gone, but it's been replaced by something stronger, quiet determination to bring the truth into the light. Samuel sits at his kitchen table, the glow of his laptop screen illuminating stacks of documents and highlighted chat. Logs. He reads through the evidence against timestamps, forwarded messages, screenshots with names and faces. Each file is a piece of a puzzle he spent months assembling, every detail checked and rechecked. His phone buzzes with a single message, "Ready when you are." It's the reporter waiting. He attaches the files to an encrypted email, his fingers pausing for a moment over the keyboard. Tiana's words echo in his mind. "They think we're too afraid." He exhales, steadying himself, and hits send. The files leave his outbox, crossing a line that can't be uncrossed. Across town, the reporter opens the email, eyes widening as she scrolls through the evidence. She calls Samuel, her voice urgent but controlled. "This is enough, more than enough." "Are you sure you're ready for what comes next?" Samuel's answer is quiet but unwavering. "It's not just for me, it's for everyone who's been pushed aside." The first story goes live before dawn. The headline is blunt. "Promotion denied due to cultural fit, whistleblower exposes tech firm's pattern of bias." Within minutes, the article spreads. Employees wake to notifications, their phones buzzing with group chats and news alerts. Some read in shock, others in silent vindication. At the office, Marcus storms into the break room, face flushed, phone pressed to his ear. "Find out who did this," he snaps at a colleague, voice tight. Eyes darting to the closed office doors, the mood is tense, uncertain. Tiana sits at her desk, reading the article, her hands steady for the first time in weeks. Samuel checks his inbox. The reporter's follow-up is simple. "You've started something." He closes his laptop, the weight of secrecy replaced by a new sense of possibility. The truth is out now, and there's no turning back. Marcus sits at his desk, the weight of the viral expose pressing down like a physical force. His hand trembles as he reaches for the mouse, the screen flickering, with headlines that unravel his carefully constructed world. The once pristine office feels colder, shadows lengthening as his confidence wanes. His inbox is flooded with urgent messages, each one more frantic than the last. He deletes them one by one, but the sense of control slips further with every click. A partner bursts in, voice sharp and urgent. "Fix this now." Marcus's laugh is brittle, a thin veneer cracking under pressure. He shuffles papers, deleting emails with shaking fingers. But the evidence is relentless, a tide that refuses to recede. His gaze falls on a framed photo of the leadership teams, miles frozen in time. Now mocking, he knocks it over, the glass shattering, a symbolic fracture of his reign. A junior designer watches from the doorway, eyes wide but silent, clutching a USB drive. She hesitates, then steps back, her presence a quiet witness to the unraveling. Marcus's breath quickens, his facade slipping. He snaps a pen in half, the sharp crack echoing in the quiet room. The office hums with whispered conversations, the old order trembling. He tries to compose himself, but the tremor in his hands betrays him. The walls seem to close in, the weight of exposure suffocating. His empire, built on exclusion and silence, is crumbling. Outside his office, staff gather in small clusters, their voices low but urgent. A senior manager passes by, pausing to glance through the glass, his expression unreadable. Marcus stares blankly at the screen, the cursor blinking on an unsent email or final plea, lost in the void. The fortress of power, once unassailable, now stands on the brink of collapse. He sits motionless, surrounded by the debris of his authority as the world he controlled slips away, piece by piece. The office is alive with the glow of computer screens and the hum of whispered conversations. A large monitor displays the trending #tech for all, its bold letters a beacon of hope and defiance. Employees gather around, some cheering softly, others exchanging cautious smiles. The air is thick with a new energy, a quiet revolution sparked by voices long silenced. Leans against a cubicle wall, her eyes bright with tears she refuses to shed. She watches as a junior analyst refreshes the social media feed, the number of shares climbing steadily. A Latina receptionist stands nearby, her posture straighter, a small smile playing on her lips. The atmosphere is charged, the old rules, unraveling with every click. In a corner, a group of staff huddled, their faces a mix of relief and determination. One whispers, "We're finally being seen." Another nods, voice low but firm, "This is just the beginning." Marcus Dalton paces in his office, the weight of the viral storm pressing down. His phone buzzes relentlessly, messages from board members and investors demanding answers. He stops, staring at the screen, the confident mask slipping, the facade cracks, revealing the desperation beneath. A senior partner enters, his face drawn and pale. He mutters, "We underestimated the power of truth." Marcus's jaw tightens, but he says nothing, the silence louder than any argument. Samuel watches from a distance, his expression calm but resolute. He knows the battle is far from over, but the tide has turned. The hashtag is more than a movement, a call to dismantle the walls of exclusion. A young intern approaches Samuel, her eyes wide with hope. "What happens now?" she asks softly. Samuel smiles, placing a steady hand on her shoulder. "Now, we build. Together." The office hums with renewed purpose, the energy palpable as the movement gains momentum. The hashtag pulses on the screen, a symbol of collective strength and unyielding resolve. In the digital roar, scene closes on the glowing hashtag, the screen reflecting the faces of those who dared to speak out. Their courage lighting the way forward, Samuel stands in his bedroom, tying his necktie with slow, practiced hands. The morning sun filters through, the blinds casting stripes of light across a letter on his dresser. He picks it up, reading the header one more time. "Emergency board meeting attendance, mandatory." The words are formal, but the meaning is clear. The system is rattled. His phone vibrates with a message from Tiana. "We're with you," he replies with a single word. Downstairs, Samuel's steps are measured as he leaves his apartment, the city's noise swelling around him. He enters the building's lobby, passing the receptionist whose eyes widen in recognition. She straightens in her chair, her usual indifference, replaced by a flicker of respect, tan something close to fear. The elevator ride is silent, each floor passing with a quiet chime. Samuel's reflection in the mirrored doors is calm, his resolve unshaken. When the doors open, a group of employees stand nearby, their conversation halting as he steps out. A junior manager offers a hesitant nod. Samuel returns it, his presence. Shifting the mood in the hallway, he walks toward the boardroom. Letter in hand, passing Marcus, who stands rigid near the entrance. Marcus's face is pale, jaw clenched, a bead of sweat at his temple. He tries to meet Samuel's gaze, but falters, looking away as Samuel enters the room. Inside, the board members sit in a tense semicircle, papers and tablets arranged in front of them. A senior partner clears his throat, voice tight. "Mr. Carter, thank you for coming. We expect full transparency." Samuel places the letter on the table, his voice steady. "You'll have it." The room is heavy with anticipation, every eye fixed on Samuel. The old guard clings to routine, but the balance has shifted. Samuel's calm is unyielding, the quiet before a storm that promises to change everything. As the meeting begins, the company's future hangs in the air, the ultimatum delivered. Marcus sits at his desk, the weight of the viral expos pressing down like a physical force. His hand trembles as he reaches for the mouse, the screen flickering with headlines that unravel his carefully constructed world. The once pristine office feels colder, shadows lengthening as his confidence wanes. His inbox is flooded with urgent messages, each one more frantic than the last. He deletes them one by one, but the sense of control slips further with every click. A partner bursts in, voice sharp and urgent. "Fix this now." Marcus's laugh is brittle, a thin veneer cracking under pressure. He shuffles papers, deleting emails with shaking fingers, but the evidence is relentless, a tide that refuses to recede. His gaze falls on a framed photo of the leadership teams, miles frozen in time. Now mocking, he knocks it over, the glass shattering. A symbolic fracture of his reign. A junior designer watches from the doorway, eyes wide but silent, clutching a USB drive. She hesitates, then steps back, her presence a quiet witness to the unraveling. Marcus's breath quickens, his facade slipping. He snaps a pen in half, the sharp crack echoing in the quiet room. The office hums with whispered conversations. The old order trembling. He tries to compose himself, but the tremor in his hands betrays him. The walls seem to close in, the weight of exposure suffocating. His empire, built on exclusion and silence, is crumbling. Outside his office, staff gather in small clusters, their voices low but urgent. A senior manager passes by, pausing to glance through the glass, his expression unreadable. Marcus stares blankly at the screen, the cursor blinking on an unsent emailer, final plea lost in the void. The fortress of power, once unassailable, now stands on the brink of collapse. He sits motionless, surrounded by the debris of his authority. As the world he controlled slips away, piece by piece, Samuel stands before a full-length mirror, adjusting his tie with deliberate care. His eyes trace the lines of his reflection. A man transformed, not just in appearance, but in purpose. Memories flicker behind his steady gaze, his mother's gentle smile. The quiet library where he first learned to code, Tiana's trembling. Hands clutching a notebook filled with truths, he breathes deeply, the weight of months pressing down, yet his posture remains unyielding. The room is silent, except for the faint hum of the city beyond the window, a world unaware of the storm about to break. His fingers tighten around a folder marked evidence, the culmination of countless stories, whispered confessions, and hidden injustices, each page a testament to resilience, each document a brick in the foundation of change. A soft knock interrupts the stillness. Tiana enters, her eyes meeting his with a mix of fear and determination. She carries her own notebook now, thick with notes and names. Samuel nods, a silent vow passing between them. "Tomorrow," he says quietly. "We show them," she exhales, the tension easing just a fraction. "I'm ready." The camera lingers on Samuel's reflection once more. The man who walked in as a stranger, now poised to rewrite the story. The city lights flicker, shadows dancing across the walls. As the quiet before the storm stretches taut in the calm before the storm, the fiercest battles are born. The scene fades, the promise of reckoning hanging heavy in the air. The heavy doors of the boardroom swing open with a slow, deliberate creak. Samuel steps inside, the sharp click of his polished shoes echoing against the marble floor. Cameras flash, capturing the moment. The man once dismissed, now standing tall in a tailored suit. Marcus Dalton's pen slips from his fingers, staining the agenda with a dark blot. His eyes dart nervously between Samuel and the expectant board members. The room is thick with unspoken tension. The air hums with the weight of impending reckoning. Samuel's calm gaze meets Marcus's faltering stare, a silent challenge passing. Between them, around the table, others biting their lips to hold back words. Maya, a junior employee, watches from the back, her fingers twisting a pen with nervous energy. Her eyes flicker to Samuel, then down to her notes, drawing strength from his composed presence. The contrast between Samuel's quiet confidence and Marcus's unraveling facade is stark. Marcus clears his throat, voice tight but forced. "Don't belong here," he mutters under his breath, more to himself than anyone else. Samuel's steady expression doesn't waver. The room holds its breath, the moment stretching taut like a drawn bowstring. The boardroom doors close softly behind Samuel, sealing the space in a heavy stillness. The battle lines are drawn not with raised voices or dramatic outbursts, but with the quiet power of truth and dignity. The silent challenge has begun. The camera lingers on Samuel's face, calm and resolute. As the scene fades to black, a projector hums to life, casting a bright rectangle on the wall. Samuel stands at the head of the table, remote in hand, his face unreadable. The first slide appears an email thread, Marcus's name stamped at the top. The room falls quiet, every eye drawn to the damning words, complaints dismissed, concerns mocked, diversity called a distraction. Marcus shifts in his seat, his jaw working as he forces a tight smile. A board member clenches his fist beneath the table, knuckles whitening. Another glances away, unable to meet Samuel's gaze. The evidence is blunt, each line a blow to the company's carefully maintained image. Samuel doesn't raise his voice. He lets the email speak, the silence between each slide growing heavier. "This is what I found," he says, his tone even. "This is what's been allowed." The words hang in the air, impossible to ignore. A junior analyst in the back swallows hard, her eyes darting from the screen to Marcus, then to Samuel. She whispers to her neighbor, "He saved everything." The neighbor nods, awe and fear mingling. In his expression, Marcus tries to recover, his voice brittle. These are out of context. Samuel's reply is quiet, but it cuts through the room. Context won't change what's written. The board members exchange glances, the old orders, certainty slipping away. The company's rot is no longer a rumor or suspicion, it's right there. In black and white, for all to see, Samuel advances to the next slide, each click a quiet drumbeat of accountability. The weight of truth presses down on the room, leaving no space for denial. The projector's glow reflects in Samuel's eyes, unwavering. The reckoning is no longer coming, it's here, undeniable and complete. The lights dim as Samuel cues up the next file. The boardroom's attention turns to the screen, where grainy security footage begins to play. Guards are seen trailing black and brown employees through corridors, their movements subtle but unmistakable. White staff pass by unbothered, greeted with nods and easy exchanges. The pattern repeats. Frame after frame, a silent choreography of suspicion and privilege. A junior analyst in the back covers her mouth, eyes wide as the reality sinks in. The room is gripped by a quiet tension. Every shift in a chair or cleared throat magnified. Marcus leans forward, his face drained of color, fingers digging into the armrests. He glances at the board, searching for support, but finds only averted eyes and furrowed brows. Samuel stands motionless, letting the footage speak. He doesn't narrate or explain. The evidence is clear, the message unmistakable. Each loop of the video chips away at the company's facade, exposing the bias that has long gone unspoken. A board member finally breaks. The stillness, voice barely above a whisper. How long has this been happening? The question hangs, unanswered, heavy with implication. Another member scribbles notes, her hand trembling. Marcus tries to interject, his tone defensive. It's not what it looks like. Samuel's gaze meets his calm and unwavering. It's exactly what it looks like. The footage ends, the screen going dark. The silence that follows is thick. Every person in the room, forced to confront the truth they can no longer avoid. Samuel's presence fills the space, not with anger, but with the unyielding weight of justice. The boardroom feels smaller now, the walls closing in as the old certainties crumble. The shadows of bias have been dragged into the light, and nothing will be the same. Marcus's voice falters, the confident mask slipping away. This is out of context, he stammers, sweat beading at his temple. His hands tremble as he shuffles papers, the once steady rhythm now broken. The boardroom's heavy silence presses down, each breath weighted with doubt. A senior partner leans forward, eyes narrowing. Context won't erase 12 years of exclusion, Samuel replies, quietly, his gaze steady and unyielding. Marcus's jaw tightens, his facade cracking under the relentless truth. He tries to regain control, voice rising slightly, but the tremor betrays him. "You don't understand the pressures," he begins, but the room's stillness swallows his words. Colleagues exchange glances, the old loyalty fading like a dying ember. A junior analyst watches from the back, her fingers nervously twisting a pen. She glances at Samuel, then back to Marcus, the shift in power palpable. Marcus's eyes dart around, searching for an ally, but find only quiet resolve. Samuel's calm presence fills the room, a stark contrast to Marcus's unraveling. The weight of years of silence and denial hangs heavy, the walls closing in on the man who once ruled with quiet cruelty. Marcus's voice breaks again, a whisper now. I never meant, but the words trail off, lost in the charged air. The boardroom holds its breath, the moment a turning point in a long-fought battle. In his armor visible for all to see, the empire of exclusion is crumbling. Undone not by shouts, but by the quiet power of truth. Samuel unfolds a worn letter, the paper soft from years of being handled. He stands at the head of the table, voice steady as he begins to read. I cleaned their messes, but I was never seen. 12 years, and not once did they call me by my name. The words hang in the air, raw and undeniable. A board member removes her glasses, blinking back tears. She presses a tissue to her eyes, her composure slipping. Around the table, others shift uncomfortably, the reality of the letter settling. Over them, like a heavy blanket, Marcus stares at the tabletop, jaw clenched, hands balled into fists beneath the surface. Samuel continues, his tone unwavering. They called me buddy, pal, hey you. I watched them celebrate with each other, but I was a shadow in the background. The letter's pain is quiet but piercing. Every sentence a reminder of years erased. A junior designer, in the back, wipes her eyes, her empathy visible. The silence in the room is thick, each person forced to confront the truth of their complicity. Samuel folds the letter carefully, placing it on the table in front of Marcus. Marcus's face is ashen, his bravado gone. He looks at the letter but doesn't touch it, the weight of what's been read settling into his bones. A senior partner clears his throat, but no words come. Samuel's final words are soft but resolute. This is not just one man's story. It's the story of everyone you never saw. The boardroom is still. The power dynamic irrevocably changed. The letter sits between them, a testament to years of quiet labor, is heavy with anticipation as the vote is called. 12 hands rise in unison, a silent but powerful declaration that the old guard's reign is over. No words are spoken. The gesture alone carries the weight of years of exclusion and quiet suffering. Marcus's chair scrapes against the polished floor as he stands, his face pale and eyes avoiding every gaze. Finality of the moment. No one offers him a word of comfort or challenge, just the cold reality of a system dismantled. Samuel nods once, a subtle acknowledgement of the collective decision. His calm presence fills the space, a quiet contrast to the tension that lingers. Around the table, colleagues exchange glances, some with relief, others with a dawning hope. The vote is more than a procedural act. It is a symbolic toppling of a regime built on silence and invisibility. The hands raised are voices finally heard. A chorus of change that cannot be ignored. Outside the boardroom, the atmosphere shifts. Staff in the hallways pause, sensing the ripple of transformation, but undeniable promise of justice and inclusion. Marcus's footsteps echo down the corridor. Each step a reminder of a legacy undone. The door closes behind him with a soft thud, the sound marking the end of an era and the beginning of a new chapter. Sometimes, the loudest revolutions are the ones spoken without words. The scene fades on the raised hands, the image a testament. To the power of collective courage and the quiet strength of truth, security appears at the boardroom door, their presence calm but unmistakable. Marcus stands frozen for a moment, his hand hovering over the back of his chair. He straightens his jacket, face drawn and shoulders tense, then steps into the hallway, flanked by 2 guards. Down the corridor and into open offices, staff pause in their work, heads turning as Marcus passes. Some avert their eyes. Others watch openly, faces a mixture of relief, disbelief, and quiet satisfaction. A receptionist, who once greeted Marcus with forced cheer, now simply nods, her expression unreadable. A junior analyst leans against a cubicle wall, arms crossed, gaze steady as Marcus moves past. The hallway feels longer than usual, every stride a reminder of the authority slipping away. Marcus catches sight of his framed awards missing from the wall, the empty spaces a silent rebuke. He glances at the elevator, the doors already open, waiting. The guards keep a respectful distance, their posture firm but not aggressive, as Marcus enters the elevator. He looks back once, searching the faces gathered in the lobby. No one steps forward. The doors slide shut, the brief glimpse of his reflection fractured by the polished metal. The elevator descends, the hum of machinery, the only sound left to fill the void. In the lobby, the atmosphere shifts. Conversations resume, but the old tension is gone, replaced by a sense of release. A cleaning staff member wipes down a table, humming quietly, her movements lighter than before. The receptionist returns to her desk, posture straightener, a small smile breaking through. Marcus exits the building into the afternoon glare, the world outside moving on without him. The marble floor behind him gleams, reflecting not his power, but the beginning of something new. Samuel stands before a sea of microphones. Truth, without a hint of anger. Today isn't about revenge, he says, eyes scanning the crowd. It's about rebuilding with dignity. Tiana stands among the crowd, her eyes glistening with tears of hope. Around her, staff members exchange quiet smiles, the tension easing into a fragile optimism. Samuel's words land with quiet force. Each sentence a promise and a reckoning. A reporter raises a pointed question about the company's future. Samuel's reply is calm, measured. Change is a process, not a moment. We're committed to transparency and inclusion. The room absorbs his words, the mood shifting from skepticism to cautious belief. Behind the scenes, Marcus watches the live stream, his face a mask of defeat. The glow of the screen highlights the cracks in his once unshakable confidence. He turns away, the weight of exposure pressing down. The world he controlled has moved on without him. The crowd's energy shifts, a collective breath held and then released. Samuel's words ripple through the room, a bomb and a call to action. The press conference is not just a statement, it's a turning point. Steps back, the quiet strength in his posture speaking volumes. The fight is far from over, but the path forward is clear. The scene closes on the company logo, now a symbol of accountability and hope. Outside, a young intern approaches Samuel, her voice barely above a whisper. "What happens now?" she asks. Samuel smiles gently, placing a steady hand on her shoulder. "Now, we build together." In the crowd, a senior board member nods subtly, her eyes reflecting a mix of regret and resolve. Nearby, a janitor watches from the sidelines, his expression unreadable but hopeful. The press conference room slowly empties, the hum of conversation replaced by a quiet determination. Samuel's gaze lingers on the exit, knowing the real work begins beyond these walls. The camera pans to the city skyline, the sun setting behind glass towers that catch the fading light. The company's future is uncertain, but the promise of change burns bright. The final shot lingers on Samuel's calm face, the weight of responsibility balanced by unwavering hope. Stock prices scroll across a ticker on the office television, phones press to their ears as they scramble for answers. At headquarters, the news spreads quickly, emails ping, group chats buzz, and the sense of urgency is palpable. The company's value dips with every passing minute, a visible consequence of the truth finally brought to light in the break room. Employees gather in small groups, voices hushed but intense. A junior analyst refreshes the finance app again and again, watching the numbers drop. "It's never gone down this fast," she whispers, her tone a mix of shock and vindication. In his posture says everything. Samuel sits in his office, the blinds half drawn. He sips his coffee, gaze steady on the muted television. The headlines scroll. Tech giant faces reckoning, market reacts. He doesn't flinch. The falling numbers are not a surprise. There, the price of long-avoided accountability. He closes his laptop, uninterested in the panic outside his door. Elsewhere, Marcus watches the same ticker from a dingy cafe, his face drawn, eyes hollow. The world he once commanded is slipping away, and there's nothing he can do to stop it. He scrolls through news articles, each headline another blow to his pride. Back at the office, a group of interns exchange hopeful glances. Maybe now, they'll finally listen. one says, voice trembling with cautious optimism. The old hierarchy is gone, replaced by uncertainty and the faint stirrings of hope. The numbers keep falling, but for the first time the company's future feels open, ready for something new to take root. Samuel stands, straightens his jacket, and heads for the door, leaving the chaos behind. The stock ticker keeps spinning, but the real change is happening in quiet conversations and determined hearts. Marcus sits alone in a corner booth, the clatter of cups and low hum of conversation swirling around him. He scrolls through his phone, headlines flashing across the screen, each one dissecting his downfall. His name now synonymous with scandal. He tries to focus on the coffee in front of him, but the taste is bitter. Leaving a heaviness in his chest, a former colleague enters the cafe, pausing when she spots Marcus. She hesitates, then chooses a seat on the opposite side of the room, her eyes lingering on him only long enough to signal that their alliance is over. Another patron, a young man in a company hoodie, glances Marcus's way, then quickly looks down, pretending to read an old newspaper. The laughter from a nearby table rings out, sharp and unkind. Marcus recognizes a few phases people who once sought his approval, now sharing jokes at his expense. He shifts in his seat, trying to shrink into the background, but the isolation is inescapable. He checks his messages, no new offers, no invitations, only the echo of his own regret. He looks up at the television mounted above the counter. The news plays a segment on the company's transformation, Samuel's face filling the screen as he mentors young coders. The barista glances at Marcus, her expression neutral, then turns away to serve another customer. Marcus's hands tighten around his cup. He listens to the laughter, the snippets of conversation, the world moving on without him. The cafe, once a place of casual power lunches, now feels like an island. His phone buzzes with another headline, another reminder of what he's lost. He finishes his coffee, stands, and leaves a few bills on the table. No one looks up as he walks out. The door swings shut behind him, the laughter inside fading. Outside, Marcus pauses on the sidewalk, the city's noise swallowing him whole. He's just another face in the crowd now, his authority gone, replaced by a quiet, hollow ache. Samuel walks down the familiar block, the morning sun catching on fresh leaves and parked cars. Neighbors are out, tending gardens, chatting on stoops, waving to one another. As he approaches, a group of children pause their game, grinning and calling his name. Their parents offer warm nods, some crossing the street to shake his hand or clap him on the back, a retired teacher. Cane in hand stops Samuel with a gentle touch on the arm. "You did what needed doing," she says, her voice proud and steady. Samuel smiles, gratitude clear in his eyes. The atmosphere is light, the air filled with a sense of shared relief and quiet celebration. Across the street, Marcus walks alone, his steps hesitant. He keeps his head down, shoulders hunched, hoping to pass unnoticed, but the shift is unmistakable. Neighbors who once greeted him with easy familiarity now avert their gaze or cross to the other side. A young mother pulls her child closer as Marcus nears, her expression closed. An old friend offers a curt nod, then turns away, conversation dying on his lips. The contrast is stark: Samuel, surrounded by warmth and welcome; Marcus, isolated by the weight of his choices. The community's verdict is silent but final. Dignity is embraced. Arrogance is left to wither in the cold. A teenager on a bike slows as he passes Samuel, raising a hand in salute. "You changed things for us," he says simply, then rides. Mule watches him go, pride and humility mingling in his chest. Marcus glances back, seeing Samuel surrounded by neighbors, laughter and conversation swirling around him. He stands at the curb, separated by more than just a street, a gulf, built by years of quiet harm and recent reckoning. As Samuel continues on, the neighborhood feels different. The old order is gone, replaced by something more honest, more hopeful. The street, once just a line on a map, is now a boundary between past and future. The lobby hums with quiet excitement as staff gather near. The freshly painted wall, a maintenance worker, carefully lifts the new team portrait into place. Guided by Samuel and Tiana, the old frame once home to Marcus's solitary image rests on the floor, its glass cracked and gathering dust. Now, the new photograph shines, Samuel at the center, surrounded by Tiana Maria, the janitor, and other colleagues. their arms linked in solidarity, employees snap photos on their phones, some sharing the moment with friends and family. A young coder points to her spot in the picture, pride glowing in her eyes. "We're all up there now," she says, her voice trembling with disbelief, and Joy Dot, the receptionist, who once greeted Marcus with forced politeness, steps forward to straighten. "The frame? It finally feels like our lobby," she remarks, glancing at Samuel with a genuine smile. Nearby, a senior partner lingers, his gaze lingering on the portrait. "This is what real leadership looks like," he murmurs, more to himself than anyone else. The marble floor, once cold and imposing, now reflects the faces of a team that was once overlooked. Maria wipes away a tear, her arm around the janitor, who stands a little taller in the glow of recognition. Tiana laughs softly, her relief and happiness mirrored in the faces around her. Samuel steps back, hands in his pockets, watching as the group clusters around the photo. The mood is lighter, the air charged with a sense of belonging. The old frame is quietly carried away, its legacy left behind as the crowd disperses. The new portrait remains a daily reminder that this company's story is no longer about a single leader, but about everyone who helped build it. The lobby feels warmer, more honest, a place where everyone finally has a place in the picture. The bulletin board in the firm's main hallway is alive with movement. New policy pages flutter gently in the air-conditioned breeze, their bold titles catching the eyes of passing employees, transparent promotions, mentorship tracks, anonymous reporting. Clusters of staff gather, some nodding in quiet approval, others wiping away tears of relief and hope. A black engineer leans in, whispering to a colleague, "This is how it should have always been." Her voice is soft but carries the weight of years spent unheard. Nearby, a Latina receptionist straightens the papers, her fingers trembling slightly as she smooths the edges. The atmosphere is fragile but charged with possibility. Samuel moves through the crowd, his presence calm and steady. He stops to speak quietly with a young coder struggling with a heavy load. His words are gentle but firm. "This is just the beginning. We're rewriting the rules." The coder's eyes brighten, a spark of determination igniting Dot in a quiet corner. A senior partner reviews the new policies, his expression thoughtful. He sighs, the weight of old habits pressing down, but also the promise of change lifting. "It's a fragile start," he murmurs, "but it's a start." The camera lingers on the fluttering pages, the words standing out clear and resolute against the worn wall. The fight for justice is far from over, but this moment marks a turning point. Every hand-folding dough, every heart beating with hope, carries the promise of change forward. The staff disperse slowly, conversations sparking in small groups. The receptionist offers a small smile, her posture less rigid. The lobby feels different, lighter, more open, a place where voices can finally be heard. The scene closes on the bulletin board, the pages steady despite the breeze, a symbol of new beginnings and the power of collective will. Samuel kneels beside a young Latina coder, her fingers hovering uncertainty over the keyboard. His voice is calm, steady, take your time, precision beats speed. The girl's eyes flicker with nervousness, but she nods, focusing on the screen. Slowly, her hands begin to move with growing confidence. Across the room, Tiana sits with another mentee, their laughter soft but genuine. The atmosphere is charged with quiet determination, a stark contrast to the exclusion that once ruled these halls. Each patient lesson, each gentle correction, chips away at years of silence and invisibility. Samuel watches the young coder's progress, pride flickering in his eyes. He offers a subtle nod of encouragement, the unspoken message clear: you belong. Here, the girl's fingers find their rhythm, the code coming alive under her touch. Nearby, a senior designer observes the scene, a thoughtful expression softening his usually stern demeanor. He exchanges a glance with a colleague, a silent acknowledgement of the change unfolding before them. The receptionist, once distant, now smiles warmly as she passes by. The session continues, the room filled with a quiet hum of collaboration and growth. The cycle of exclusion is being broken, one patient, deliberate step at a time. Mentorship is more than a reclamation of space and dignity. As the young coder completes her task, she looks up, eyes shining with newfound confidence. Samuel's smile is gentle but proud. The future is being redrawn here in these small moments of guidance and trust. The camera lingers on the keyboard. The code on the screen, a symbol of hope, resilience, and the power of mentorship. Marcus sits alone in his dim apartment, the glow of his laptop screen casting harsh shadows on his weary face. He refreshes his email inbox again and again, each time hoping for a message, a lifeline, an opportunity, a sign that his world hasn't completely collapsed. But the screen remains stubbornly empty, save for spam and automated notices. His phone buzzes with notifications from news apps, headlines praising Samuel's new scholarship for underrepresented youth. Marcus's fingers tighten around the device, his jaw clenched in frustration and disbelief. The empire he once ruled is gone, replaced by a future he can no longer influence. He scrolls through social media feeds, watching videos of Samuel mentoring young coders, his calm voice guiding them through challenges Marcus never acknowledged. The contrast is stark and painful, a world moving forward without him. Marcus tries to call an old ally, but the line goes unanswered. He leaves a message, voice strained and hesitant, but no return call comes. The silence on the other end is deafening. A stack of unopened mail sits on the table, bills and advertisements piling up like the remnants of his former life. He flips through them, searching for something, anything that might offer a way back. But the weight of isolation presses down, heavier than any financial burden. He closes his laptop slowly, the empty inbox, a stark symbol of what he's lost. The power he once wielded has evaporated, replaced by quiet emptiness. Marcus leans back. In his chair, eyes closed, the echoes of his downfall ringing louder than any applause. The scene fades on the darkened screen, the cursor blinking a lonely heartbeat in the void. Samuel stands before a packed auditorium, the hum of anticipation thick in the air. Microphones cluster at the podium, their lenses reflecting the eager faces of students and faculty alike. His voice is steady, carrying the weight of years of struggle and hope. Talent is everywhere, he begins, eyes scanning the crowd. Access is not. The room erupts in applause, but Samuel's gaze remains calm, focused. A young girl in the front row clutches her notebook tightly, her eyes wide with the promise of a future rewritten. Around her, students nod, their faces alight with possibility. Behind the scenes, Marcus watches the live stream from a dimly lit room, the glow of the screen casting shadows across his face. His expression is a mixture of resignation and disbelief, the cracks in his once unshakable confidence now visible to all. Samuel continues, his words deliberate and clear. This scholarship is more than money. It's a statement, a commitment to change, to opportunity, to dignity. The crowd listens, rapt, as he outlines the program's goals: mentorship, community support, and pathways to leadership. Each promise is a brick in the foundation of a new future. A reporter leans forward, capturing every word, while a student raises a hand, voice trembling but determined. "How can we help?" she asks. Samuel smiles, the moment gentle but powerful. "By believing in yourselves and each other, by building bridges where walls once stood." The applause swells again, the energy in the room palpable. Samuel steps down from the podium, greeted by hopeful faces and outstretched hands. The scene closes on the young girl, her notebook now filled with dreams and determination. The camera pans out, the auditorium glowing with possibility, a beacon of hope in a world still learning to listen. Samuel stands on the rooftop of the newly designed office building, the glass towers reflecting the fading light of the setting sun. The city below hums with life, a symphony of progress and possibility. His hands rest gently on the blueprint spread before him, guiding a young coder's fingers as they trace the lines of a new project. "Take your time," Samuel says softly, his voice steady and encouraging. "Precision matters more than speed." The young woman nods, her eyes bright with determination. Around them, the office buzzes quietly with collaboration and renewed energy. Tiana laughs softly nearby, mentoring another intern, their bond a testament to the change that has taken root. The lobby below, once cold and unwelcoming, now glows with warmth. Art by local Black artists adorns the walls, and open spaces invite conversation and creativity. The receptionist, once distant, now greets employees with genuine smiles, her posture relaxed and confident. Samuel's gaze lifts to the horizon, the city skyline, a beacon of hope and resilience. The glass towers stand tall, symbols of a future built on inclusion and dignity. "This is just the beginning," he murmurs, the weight of the journey behind him balanced by the promise ahead. The camera pans out, capturing the interplay of light and shadow, the hands guiding the blueprint, and the city alive with possibility. The scene closes on Samuel's calm face, a quiet leader shaping a new dawn.